What got my attention this week was the Predator, the unmanned aerial bomber which has just marked its millionth hour of flight time. Now, ever since it first started flying, the Predator has been a sore point, with complaints about its legality and angry cries, mostly from Pakistan, over just how many innocent civilians it has killed. Some estimates run as high as 50 civilians killed for every one terrorist killed. But the U.S. government loves it. Defense Secretary Gates recently testified that the Air Force is now training more drone pilots than fighter and bomber pilots. And remember, drone pilots never even get into the cockpit of the plane. They fly the Predators by remote control from a base just outside of Las Vegas. The CIA director, Leon Panetta, says the Predator is, quote, the only game in town, unquote, for disrupting al-Qaeda's leadership. But are we really doing that? Some say no. Most recently, Robert Wright in the New York Times. He says studies show that killing leaders of terror groups, especially religious terror groups, doesn't actually lead to the downfall of the organization. In fact, in some cases, it makes them stronger. The leaders can always be replaced, and the organization is energized by the attacks. Then there is the legal problem. The Obama administration recently authorized the assassination of an American, Anwar al-Awlaki. Could it be legal to execute anyone, but especially an American citizen, without due process? The ACLU is in a court battle with the U.S. government to try to force it to release information on the secretive program. Now, late last month, State Department legal advisor Harold Koh, a very distinguished liberal, usually on the same side as the ACLU, provided a spirited defense of the Predator. He says the use of Predators complies with all applicable law, domestic and international. His basic argument boils down to this. On 9/11, the United States went to war with al-Qaeda and the Taliban. And, Koh says, the U.S. government therefore has the authority and responsibility to defend itself, including targeting terrorists from afar. How do I feel about the Predators? On balance, I agree with Koh and with the administration. Fighting al-Qaeda this way seems legitimate. But I worry a lot about the precedent. Imagine, for example, if Russia were to announce that there were Chechen terrorists in Georgia and were to start lobbing missiles into that country. How would we feel? Now, Pakistan, which has been the country complaining loudly about the American use of drones, was recently promised by Defense Secretary Gates a dozen drones of their own. Theirs would be smaller than the Predators and unarmed. So at least Pakistan won't be complaining anymore.
Early in the morning, October 18th, Iraqi security forces, with the support of U.S. forces, killed the two most senior leaders of al-Qaeda Iraq during a series of joint security operations near Tikrit. Abu Ayyub al-Mazari and Abu Umar al-Baghdadi, the former leaders of AQI, were the ones who plotted, planned, and executed terrorist attacks against the Iraqis in the recent past, as well as against Americans. Their deaths are potentially devastating blows to al-Qaeda Iraq. But equally important, in my view, is this action demonstrates the improved security strength and capacity of Iraqi security forces. The Iraqis led this operation, and it was based on intelligence the Iraqi security forces themselves developed following their capture of a senior AQI leader last month. In short, the Iraqis have taken the lead in securing Iraq and its citizens by taking out both of these individuals. This counterterrorism operation is the culmination of a lot of cooperation and very hard work by Iraqi and U.S. forces to degrade AQI over the past several months and years. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the U.S. soldier who was killed while supporting this assault. I apologize. I hate to mention the death of an individual American without mentioning their name, because I don't want it to sound like it's just a line. But the family has not been informed yet, and that's the only reason I'm not releasing the name of this young hero. We also commend all the troops and civilians serving in Iraq who continue to put themselves in harm's way in service of our country and in the service of secure and peaceful Iraq. To consolidate these security gains and to honor the sacrifice that so many have made, it's now incumbent upon Iraqis' political leaders to take the next and important necessary step to form an inclusive and representative government that meets the needs and aspirations of the Iraqi people. We remain committed to end our combat mission in Iraq this summer by the end of August 2010, and in accordance with the U.S.-Iraqi security agreement that was signed a couple of years ago, to remove all U.S. forces from Iraq by the end of 2011. As we complete this security transition, we will continue to work to build a lasting partnership with the Iraqi people and their government based on the many shared interests we have that go beyond the military cooperation we've had of late, including the economy, education, cultural exchanges, and the development of a strong economy for Iraq. For today, I want to mark this important milestone as the Iraqi people stand up to those who would deny them peace, freedom, as well as security. There will be more difficult days ahead, but this operation is evidence, in my view, that the future of Iraq will not be shaped by those who seek to destroy that country, but belongs to those who are building a strong and unified Iraq, as I'm confident the Iraqis will do. Thank you very much.